forcing your views on other people. I lately hear that I'm forcing my views on other people, and I have one issue with this claim, and I was led to think about views. What are views? And I thought again about the implications of the so-called post-factual age in which we live now. Because in this age in which we live right now, it appears that everybody has views and opinions, and everybody is told by the media and by everybody else that everyone's view is all right, everyone has the right to have their own views, their own opinions, and you're told to respect other people's opinions. And nobody asks about facts anymore. Nobody demands factual evidence for anything. You can just have views, and everybody is fine living in their own bubble with their own views, and everybody's fine respecting the bubble of the other person. And it appears to me that nobody actually is interested in discussion and conversation and actually exchange. Nobody seems to be interested in finding out what the actual facts are beyond the opinions and the views. And when you state facts that conflict with people's views and pierce the bubble and maybe explode the bubble of views, of opinions, then they just run away and they call you names and they claim that you want to force your views on them. With the people that I was conversating, I was simply demanding an answer to a topic, because every time I brought up a certain topic in the conversation over the last years, the person would just leave the conversation, just run away, and just refuse to deal with this topic. And I would have never become upset. I would have never demanded the person to deal with this topic and to answer me if this person was not calling himself a philosopher. In fact, this person has studied philosophy, and he has studied Nietzschean philosophy. And I've known this person for my whole life, and he has taught me basically free thinking, and the free thinker. For me, Nietzsche was always portrayed as the free thinker, the one that breaks all boundaries, all limitations of thought, all taboos, and is able to think rationally about everything and to discern religious belief from actual philosophical thought and truth. And since this person has always preached to me the free thinking and the critical thinking, and when he over and over again refuses to respond and to deal with certain topics, and it's not just one topic, it is several different topics that this person completely evades, then this person appears to me like some kind of a hypocrite, a pretender, somebody who in theory likes the idea of free-mindedness and intellectual freedom, but in practice does not fulfill this promise, you know? It's just hot air. And it disappointed me, because when I came in contact with this idea of free thought at a very early age, I was enriched by this thinking, by this way of thinking, and it gave me a lot of inspiration. Now I'm demanding this free thought from this person, especially because he's also, you know, in a cultural environment and in his work, and he's basically getting paid for having a degree in philosophy and spreading philosophical ideas. So I was even more inclined to demand the fulfillment of the ideal of free thinking. And I was called a person who forces his views on other people. And once again, my reputation within the circle of relations I have was damaged, and was called names, and the rumors about me spread and got legs and were probably expanded on it, and in the imagination of the people, probably my image was enhanced with colorful, maybe dark extensions, you know, evil additions to my person. So what can I do? In this day and age, we fight against a very interesting and powerful mechanism, which is views on your YouTube videos, your views on political issues, your opinions, you viewing information that is presented to you. And one psychological mechanism that is applied is repetition. It seems to be a psychological fact that the more you repeat an information, the more a person tends to believe that information, no matter if there's anything true to it, no matter if this is true or not. It seems to be that repetition is the only thing that hammers something into your brain. And it's understandable. If you do any craft, if you do carpentry, or if you play a musical instrument, the only thing that can make you better in this craft, in this art, is repetition. To repeat the practice, you know, to repeat the song over and over again until you can play it perfectly, or to repeatedly build a certain type of furniture until you can do it in your sleep. So repetition is very important, and it seems that this also applies to information. Once you hear information over and over again, you kind of internalize it, and then it seems to be true to you. And also, if the people around you also hear this information over and over again, it tunes them, you know, it aligns them to a certain tune, to a certain vibration, to a certain value system. And I think not really the value system is changing. I think they have always the same value system, just the vocabulary is changing. So what the repetition of information in media does to the people is it shapes their vocabulary, it changes their language. And if you don't listen to media over years, you kind of fall out of the matrix of language shaping, and you, without noticing, start speaking a different language, and people start associating different things with the words that you utter. And this is why they get repulsed by what you say. At least this is what is my impression, because I think that deeply inside the people have not changed. I think just the media has changed the connotation of every word, and this is what makes communication extremely difficult. And the next thing that makes communication very difficult nowadays is that more and more people are living in virtual reality, in literal virtual reality. When I go around in this world nowadays, I look for, culture, for craftsmanship, for farmers, and for the rural life, and I notice that it is more and more becoming extinct. So every physical craft, everything that people actually did with their hands, every contact with nature, with physical objects, is becoming less and less, and people are working more and more with intellectual things, with media, with education, with services, with in a call center where they have to talk all day about problems with people's computers, and even in if people work in a hospital, it is a very virtual thing, because they are looking at monitors all the time, and they're looking at charts, and they're looking at values of certain chemicals in your body, and if this is too high and this is too low, then you put this kind of drug in the person, whatever. But it's all kind of virtual, it's all kind of based upon data in a computer. And this seems to be everywhere around, even in a pharmacy. The people, they don't really talk to the customers and look at them, the patients, and think about how to best help them. No, it's more about looking into the computer, look up the indications, and let the computer say what to prescribe to the people, or what to sell to the people, what counter-indications there are, It's all computer-based. It's all virtual reality. And likewise, when people have conversations in their breaks, they all talk about the latest show on YouTube or on the TV, the latest movie, and all these virtual realities, all the details in these virtually created narratives like Star Trek and Star Wars and Game of Thrones, and the virtual lore, the fantasy and the sci-fi worlds have taken over all reality, and have taken so much time of the people, so much occupation of their minds, and at the same time the relationships between the family members are becoming looser and looser. People are spending less and less time with real people. They play video games on the internet, being separated in different rooms, and just being together in a virtual room. And whenever they actually meet in person, then they take drugs. They drink alcohol or whatever to push themselves, and to which is also kind of virtual, but the actual things that people do together, like going for a walk or playing music together, simple music, playing a game, you know, or reading books to each other, reciting poems to each other, working and singing together, you know. Back in the 19th century, when people worked outside a lot on farms, you know, worked as carpenters, worked with their hands, when you needed a lot of people for certain tasks to be completed, people had much more time spending together with real people, and they would lots of the time they would sing songs together and, you know, do something together and have contact with actual people. Nowadays, the music is also virtual. The music that is playing is coming from a, you know, from a box, from a musical, from a radio, whatever. It's not real music. It's not really happening. It's nobody is singing, nobody is playing an instrument at this moment. It's just virtual, and it also kind of hypnotizes you into a very stiff thing, because every natural live music that is played is representing the moment and the emotion of that moment. Even if it's the same song, it is always sung a little bit differently, and it's never really meant to be sung alone, you know. I mean, everybody has a, you know, a whistle or something to himself that he does on his own, but back when people still played music and sang together, it was a common thing, you know. People would do that together, and the emotion emanating from it would always be a little bit different. Now when you listen to virtual music, it's always the same thing, and it hypnotizes you because it pulls you back into that emotion that the music is repeating, because it's an electronic thing, it's a digital fixed thing. And so on every level of society, be it music, entertainment, culture, politics, education, you know, pastime, work, everything is becoming virtual, and people are losing contact with reality, with the physical reality around themselves. And if you present to these people facts of the physical reality around them, they cannot cope with that, because these facts can be so frightening and so gruesome, so evil, so menacing, that people just cannot, they can't deal with it. And then they prefer to watch horror movies and to, you know, to watch action thrillers or war movies or crime movies. And because there they can always escape, they can wallow in this feeling of fear, but it is over. They just have to turn off the screen, and then the danger is gone. And it seems like they have completely lost the idea that real danger can threaten them, threaten their existence, threaten their life, enslave them, you know. And the media is doing a very good job at creating artificial dangers, you know, putting fear into the minds of the people, fear of completely non-existent things, you know. They create demons, they create irrational and imaginary topics that makes them afraid. Like, I remember when it was the time when Trump was elected, I was at some kind of a discussion in a university, and in the lecture room there was like you know, what are we doing now? Trump is elected. Oh my God, you know, the evil man is elected. And there were these queer people or lesbian people, I don't know, or just normal people who were interested in lesbianism. And they were like asking, will homosexuals now be beaten in the streets? And at the time I found this idea completely ludicrous, and it's even more ludicrous now because none of that has happened, and the media has created this evil image of Trump that is hateful and bigoted and anti-homosexual and racist and all this stuff. And then people started to be afraid of gay people being beaten. And the thing is that this is so ludicrous on so many levels that I can't even, I don't even know where to start. Where, it's just wrong on so many levels, And the problem is that the real danger of Donald Trump is absolutely hidden. Nobody knows why he's dangerous. The same with the new right, the AfD, and all these alt-right parties that are emerging everywhere in every country. The leftist people and the mainstream people, they think they are dangerous for something which they are not dangerous for, They are dangerous for completely different reasons. But it is important to know for what reason they are dangerous. Because if you think that an elephant in your living room is dangerous because he can eat your cornflakes, then you will put your cornflakes maybe in a secure area, lock it in a safe or somewhere, and you will spend $5,000 buying a very strong safe to put your cornflakes in so the elephant cannot break it and eat your cornflakes. If this is your greatest fear, then you are severely mistaken, because the biggest problem of the elephant in your living room is that he will break your furniture and shit all over the place and make your life completely miserable. So you have to remove this elephant from your room. And this is the insanity that is going on, that the people have lost all connection to reality, and they don't know for what reason something is good or bad. They're completely lost in fiction. And when you present them with something from reality, they tell you, don't force your views on me. That is insulting. That is hurting my feelings. So don't force your views on anybody. Don't let everybody live in their own bubble. Respect their views and their opinions, because everybody has the right to have their own opinions. If somebody thinks that putting a knife into his body and walking around with this encumbrance and this inconvenience of having this solid metal object sticking in their side all the time, if somebody decides to live this kind of lifestyle, you better let them, because that's their good right. And they have all the access to remedies, to purchase drugs and remedies to forget the pain of the knife sticking inside their bodies, And if they're having difficulties of putting the knife in there, maybe they can buy a nice sharpener or buy a new knife altogether that's right sharp and very good and sticks in very, very well, And if the feeling gets a bit uncomfortable, they just put a little lotion on there, or they take some painkillers, and then it's fine, And they can live with this lifestyle, and they can create all kinds of subcultures around it. It can become a thing, It can become a thing. What kind of knife do you have sticking in your bag? Who put it there? Maybe it can even become a thing of sticking a knife in each other's bags, you know, to help you out. Just let the people do their thing.